Ah, what day is it actually? When I think about it, it's April 10th, 410. That's like 10-4 in reverse. Good buddy. April 10th. Welcome to Hug Nation. It is 1 o'clock on the West Coast. Hug Nation time in your heart. Let's take a moment just to let go of the day and get centered, to get grounded, become mindful of the experience we're having in this now. Take a deep breath. Exhale. One more. As you hear the sound of my voice and breaths, notice what other sounds are trickling into your ear, being received by your central control panel of your brain. What other stimulus, what sounds, what sensations, what temperatures. Can you feel your feet on the ground? If you wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, maybe do a head roll and feel all the different places where your skin stretches and muscles creak. At every moment we are flooded, overly abundant and rich with possible experiences and sensations. And we get so caught up in our stories, in our mind, in our objectives that we often don't experience life as it is happening. So let's just practice that for just a moment and be aware of what we are experiencing this now. What is real in this moment outside of any of our stories or our potential outcomes or our imagined cause and effects, and just feel our body, hear the sounds, receive the vibrations of the universe that we then experience as sound, as touch, as something maybe we don't even understand. One more deep breath. Thank you, universe, for all of our gifts. Help us to focus on our blessings, amplify them, seek joy for ourselves so that we can be givers of joy in the world. Amen. Welcome to Hug Nation! Oh, 40 minutes ago I had no idea what we were going to talk about, and now I feel like I've got way too much to say. This last weekend was Easter. And if you are not a follower of the Christian faith, that is the time of year when they celebrate Jesus resurrecting, coming out of his tomb, and then if he sees his shadow, it determines if we... Wait. No. It's the resurrection. I did a tweet that got picked up by a lot of people, so I'll just repeat it because it had some resonance. And I said that, to me, the miracle is not that Jesus rose from the dead. The miracle is that he loved his enemies. And so it started a lot of conversations because I also, got into some things saying, like, I don't consider myself a Christian, but I do value immensely the teachings of Jesus. And it's an interesting place between the two of saying, oh, I'm a follower of Jesus, and saying I'm a Christian. My grandfather, who was a Baptist minister, by the time that he was an old man, he didn't generally use the word Christian. He used the word Jesus man. Or he even said the word Christian should mean little Christs. And so the idea of what would Jesus do is much more of what he believed to be his path, more so than any organization or book or dogma. And it's interesting, the most recent, I think, Newsweek is about kind of returning to the teachings of Jesus. And so it's gotten a lot of people realizing what I was able to see through my grandfather and also through my mom, that there is this very powerful kind of new age element to Christianity. My mom goes to these things called the Jesus Seminar, where they go back and there's a thing called the red letter Bible, which means that in the Bible they go through and they say everything that they know Jesus said is in red. But they have an expanded one that actually has everything that all scholars acknowledge that's the words of Jesus. And they have some in pink that is kind of like yeah, Jesus could have said that, and then they have like black or gray, which means he probably did not say that. And so it's a fascinating breadth of Christianity, from you must accept this, questioning that means you're a sinner, to wow, what we've been taught for years should be questioned. And if we dig deep and question, we find ourselves into these awarenesses and teachings that I believe to be, that resonate on a far more deeper level to me, and also our mesh with so many of the teachings of so many faiths. This kind of Jesus words outside of the Bible allows for me to really interpret them in ways that don't seem problematic, even to my wacky beliefs. So one thing that my grandpa said is that outside of everything, if you studied the Sermon on the Mount, the Beatitudes, you could really, just studying that would give you enough of an understanding of the teachings of Jesus and the power of Christ that's what you could need. And so I was just going to just read them through. Because I think this is really walking on water, turning, making food feed a lot of people, raising from the dead. That's the kind of story that would resonate with a population of people that didn't understand that, the world was rotating around the sun, or that we had orbits, or that, that those are neat parlor tricks. But we're the things that amaze our culture, or I think should amaze our culture, are more mundane. I mean, there's so many things in science that are more amazing than rising from the dead to me. The fact that right now in our bodies is thousands and millions of microbes that are fighting and trying to stay alive, and that our ability to be alive is dependent on all these other creatures. That there's this constant state of violence inside our bodies that allows for the harmony of us. Not to get too fractal, but doesn't it make you rethink the way that the world is? The world's in this state of violence between species and interman species and all this. Is that part of some larger harmony? If you look at a picture from the Voyager spaceship looking back at the pale blue dot, you might think so. But I digress. The Beatitudes. This is Matthew 5. And seeing the multitudes, he went up unto a mountain. And when he was set, his disciples came unto him. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be fulfilled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye, when men shall revile you, and persecute you, and shall say all manners of evil against you falsely for my sake. Let me read that one again. Blessed are ye, when men shall revile you, and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. So, let me just, that one, you will be reviled and persecuted in the name of Jesus. So, and here we live in a culture with this oppressive Christian force. Never mind. The point is, that's some beautiful stuff. This is actually from Emmett Fox's The Sermon on the Mount. And so I'm not sure exactly what translation it could be, just his. So I just wanted to, touch on this because it is with such a huge part of our culture stemming from Christianity, and so much, especially now, being as politics come in, there's this very interesting, as we get into elections, this wacky state where the intensely personal experience of religion becomes political. And as you know, in some ways it should. I think the only Democrat my grandfather didn't vote for was John F. Kennedy, because he was Catholic. And my grandpa was like, whoa, I mean, if he is taking his advice from a man, from the Pope, I don't want a politician in that state. And so anytime we have a politician who's making choices for the populace based on, you know, his communication with his higher power, that's an interesting place. I've heard it argued that the last, maybe the only true Christian president we had was Jimmy Carter. And I think if you look at Carter's actions since his presidency, it's pretty clear that he very much follows a "what would Jesus do" mentality. And it's very clear that a lot of other leaders follow the church. It would be impossible to be a follower of Christ and go after weapons of mass destruction or try to put a war on terror or the things that the politicians do in the name of spreading peace or in the name of spreading freedom. There's that great scene in the Ghandi movie where a minister or a man of the cloth is walking with Ghandi, and they come across a situation where these hooligans kind of approach him and start giving Ghandi some grief. And they get kind of, circumstances make it so the hooligans get called away before there's any tension. And the priest was kind of like, whoa, you were kind of, you know, you were just going to, you know, confront these guys? And Gandhi's like, well, you know, your Christ says that when a man strikes you, you should turn the other cheek and allow them to strike you again. And the man on the cloth is like, I think that's kind of metaphorical. And Gandhi's like, I don't think so. I think that there's something that happens inside a man when he is shown, when demonstration of that type of peace, that type of righteousness is displayed, even at the sake of someone's own safety, that something happens in their brain. Of course, I'm paraphrasing, but highly recommend seeing the movie Ghandi as an example of what one can do when they pursue righteousness at that level. So, if you are a Christian, bravo! If you are not a Christian, good for you! If you are being more loving and righteous and trying to make yourself an agent, a radio tower to broadcast love and compassion and connection, then I could care less what your title is. I call you Joy Warrior.